Welcome back to the Pulling Around Show. We've got a special guest today named Collins, owner, creator, solo entrepreneur of the Post Up Show. Post Up, I'm going to call him the best way to describe him right now. He's the best streamer in the game. He has more people tune in and watch what he's up to there in California than anybody else, and he does it in a laid back way. And today, I hope we just get to know him a little better. He's usually talking about everyone else and asking questions, and we get to ask him the questions. So, thanks for being with us, Collins.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the spot. Normally I run the show, and now it's going to be fun to, kind of sit and react. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, what got you into pool and wanting to stream pool?
Okay. So, I've been playing pool for about 12 years. And originally I started playing pool because I lived a mile away from Hard Times here in Sacramento, California. At the time, I lived a mile away. And I thought it'd be a cool place to go meet chicks, which I don't know. Pool rooms, well, especially 12 years ago, pool rooms were not really the place where all the women were going to go hang out. It was just, I ended up finding out it's just a bunch of people with a bunch of spare time that are hooked on this ridiculous game that's super difficult. But fast forward 10 years from there. So it's been about 2 years since I was involved in the first stream that I was involved in. Local guy during COVID and the lockdowns had just bought a used but new to him, and had it refinished and everything, Gold Crown 5. And his name's Aaron Taylor, and he ran what he called Aaron's Pool Parlor. And that was a local stream that was streaming fairly regularly. And he ended up getting microphones and stuff. Originally, it was just a couple cameras showing him playing his buddies. He ended up getting a couple microphones and doing the whole, doing the whole having people dial in and doing remote commentary stuff. And he was looking for guys that would be interested in doing that and good at it. And I guess my name came up a few times. And up to then, I mean, I'm just a B player. You know what I mean? I'm not like a really great player or anything, but I guess people had said that when they had questions about the game or whatever, I was like fairly good at explaining why things work the way that they do on the table. And so he figured he'd give me a shot. And I had a fun time. I was on a number of different streams with him, doing some commentary for him. And back then it was commentary. It was like the sports broadcast model. On his stream, it was very much like, shot by shot. There was a little bit of goofing around because I was in there and I'm a goofball, but yeah, it ended up evolving into a pretty decent sized stream. And he streamed the first Brendan Crockett Memorial out here in Sacramento. And that actually ended up being his last stream. He actually broke the news to me during that stream. He says, I just can't, I don't have the time. He's got a wife, he's got a couple kids that have kids, he's got grandkids or whatever. And he works a full-time job, which is 40 to 50 hours a week. And he was spending all this time editing videos and all this stuff. And he's like, he didn't want to commit to it unless he could go all in. And he started being able to see what going all in meant time-wise. And he just decided not to do it. And it was literally right at that same tournament, like right before I had that conversation with him, or it might have been right after. Oscar comes up to me, Oscar Dominguez, the owner of Hard Times, comes up to me and he says, what did he say? It got to the point where I just said, I've been thinking I could build like a temporary booth that I could like set up and take down for all the big tournaments. Cause we were working on a plastic table with one of those like plastic fishbowl things, that you make out of plexiglass and stick it on the table. And it was really difficult because we always had to like talk like this, and we couldn't really react to anything. We'd be like, oh my gosh, but you didn't want the players to hear you or whatever. And I said, I could build something that you could set up and take down that's like a structure and it could be pretty soundproof. And he's like, well, actually, I was thinking about just having a studio built here. What would you charge me to do that? And I was like, I just saw like the wheels started turning, and I was like, well, Aaron's going to be quitting. Maybe if I start my own stream, I'll just build, you just buy the materials. I'll just build it, donate my time, and then we could work out some kind of deal. And it ended up obviously evolving into what it is now. You know, I started with one camera. It was just a mirrorless Sony ZV-E10. I could actually show you. Let me see if I could do this really quick. Oh, no, I can't because it's turned off. It's on the ceiling right now. But anyway, it's just a stationary camera. And then my second camera was actually donated from a guy that was a Sacramento native, but doing something in Macedonia or something and watching all the streams. And he's like, I love the streams. And you've been talking about how you wanted to get a second camera and stuff. I just want to donate the camera. And I was like, things can be kind of expensive. And at that time, I had no expendable income for the stream at all. And he ends up just donating the $700 camera. And it's like, I don't know, the community just started building from there. You know, it's been really cool.
Yeah. I got a question to follow up with Chris's. Okay, number one, did you ever meet any chicks there? Because I see the ring finger and I see the ring.
Yeah, not in the pool room actually. I was in restaurants for 10 years, and the last year and a half that I actually, by the time I was 25, I was general manager of a local chain, a single establishment, Chevy's Fresh Mix. Was a general manager at the time, and ended up finding out that I was allowing myself to work like 80 hours a week, 30 days straight, you know, not taking any days off because it's a salaried gig, and I was trying to impress my bosses. And I didn't have anybody, you know, I had no friends. I had no girl, no spare time for my like personal stuff or whatever. And so I decided to get out of the business, and I figured I'd just serve tables for the last year and a half until I decided what I wanted to do. And I met Amanda, and yeah, long story short, I met her in a restaurant working with her, together for 7 years this December. But yeah, no girls in the pool room. Honestly,
share the same pool enthusiasm you do?
No, actually, she's into running and yoga and like diet and fitness and stuff. Yeah. She tried the game a few times. She's just not interested. And that's fine. She's super gracious for allowing me to spend the time that I do doing what I do. But we don't have any kids or anything yet. So, you know, while we're still young-ish, I mean, we're both in our 30s now, right? So still young. We got a little bit of time before that window starts to close. And yeah, we're just going to see what happens. So, yeah.
And then last question about that is, how far is y'all's drive up to Hard Times? I mean, you're up there all the time.
Yeah.
How far is the drive?
Oh, yeah. I only live like 20 minutes away. I work now in windows and siding. And so I do retrofit windows. You know, we replace people's siding if they're, you know, re-siding their house or whatever. And I work all around the Sacramento area and in the Bay occasionally, the Bay Area. And yeah, just wherever I'm working, I usually just, if I'm close to Hard Times, I'll stop by on the way home. If I'm not, you know, we'll decide what we want to do for the evening. But yeah, I only live 20 minutes away. It's not bad.
So vinyl siding or aluminum siding?
I mostly like hardy plank and like T111 and stuff. Out in California, wood and fiber cement are super popular. I'd say most popular is stucco. Then second most would be wood, whether that's lap siding or T111. And then it would go fiber cement and then vinyl after that. So not a ton of aluminums. Actually,
No.
houses out here, the more popular one for the rich people down in the Bay is steel siding because it lasts forever.
Right.
Yeah.
That stuff's not fun to work with when it's windy.
No.
Or if it's
Are
cold.
you selling the jobs, Collins? Are you selling the jobs, or are you out there installing?
I'm installing. I'm an installer. Yeah. So I install about anywhere between 40 and 60 hours a week. Mostly windows, but occasionally it's probably 80% windows, 15% siding, 5% other odd jobs.
Plus, how many hours a week in this booth you're sitting in right now?
Oh, so I'm live for on average 6 to 10 hours a week. I'm live. And then I do I've gotten the stream to the point where it's, for me anyway, it's pretty much like push button, turn it on and go, you know. But I still, for like bigger events, I'll do some behind the scenes stuff, you know, and preparing for a show a little bit. I'll do that, you know, for bigger streams. But really it's about 10 hours or so a week I spend on the stream right now. Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about streaming?
Oh, the chat. all the people watching and interacting with them. Dude, the internet is so funny. Like anyone, like there's always someone watching out of the 100 people or 200 people, or like in a really big stream out of 1,000 people. There's always someone that knows just the perfect thing to say given a certain scenario. And it just like, it's so fun to interact with that and react to it too. It's like, it's a lot of fun. Definitely my favorite part is interacting with the viewers.
I'd say you interact with your chat more than or as much as anyone that's streaming. And I think that's really cool. Some people don't even look at it. You can ask a question in there, and they're not going to look at it.
In pool, that's certainly the case. I know that there's not a ton of that going on in pool, but that's because I come from the background of like I grew up. Well, I say grew up. I definitely grew up on the internet. Like I've been around computers ever since I was like. My stepfather was a website designer when the internet was brand new, right? Like he's like, oh, this internet thing looks interesting. I'm going to design websites for it, right? And that's how he made a living. And so I've been around the internet ever since I was 5, 6, 7, no, probably 7, 8, and then I've been on YouTube ever since. I mean, like it was like 2008, all the time. It has been YouTube has been my main source of entertainment in my life for the last 20 years. Like certainly, I feel like it's 20 years. No, not 20 years, 12 years. Whenever it became really significant, like 2009 or whatever. So that's like 14 years.
Do you pay for cable, or is it just YouTube all the way?
No, I haven't paid for TV ever. I don't think I've ever had cable as an adult on my own. Yeah, it's all been streaming services, mainly YouTube. And then I did have a long stint on Twitch where I was playing a lot of video games when I was in my early 20s, right? And so I've spent just ungodly amounts of hours in other live streams, right? I'm talking thousands of hours as a consumer of live streams, right? And so like that's the whole gig, is interacting with the chat. And if people want to, in my opinion, okay, I'm going to get a little bit on a soapbox about streaming pool specifically. If people want to watch just the regular, only talk about the game, style of the game, and they're only there for excellent play, it's like they've got Matchroom and the Predator Pro Billiard Series, you know what I mean, and the WPBA. They've got it. I can't do that good. There's no chance. And the streamers in video games know that too. Like as an individual streamer, none of them can compete. Like if you're into League of Legends, which is a big game, like it was a huge game like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, I think it was. Super popular game back then, still super popular. But anyway, the streamers knew that they're not going to provide the same content as what they call the LCS, the League Championship Series. That's the sports broadcasting thing where they have these professional shoutcasters that are, in their 20s or whatever, and they're super articulate about the play that they're watching and they react in a specific way. And it's like, the ESPN version of the game. But then when you have the individual streamers out there, they're just bullshitting with their viewers, and trying to have a good time playing the game at the same time too. But the reason that people are there watching in 90% of live streams isn't because they're there to see something excellent happen in the game. It happens occasionally. It definitely happens occasionally. And when it does, it's fun to react together. But the reason they're there is because they're in a community of like-minded viewers with this guy that they like to hang out with online, and we just don't have that in pool. That's like a big part of why I do things the way that I do on Post Up, is because I felt like we didn't have that in pool, and I wanted that as a viewer. And because I couldn't have it myself, I may as well go try my best to create it for other people, Yeah.
So you just strictly using
whatever you're doing, you're doing it right. And I want to ask one question. Well, this question is, did you ever think that you would have this big a following?
Oh, I don't know. I know that, let's put it this way. There's billions of people on the planet, right? There are billions of people. And so just as a sheer numbers game, I understand fundamentally that there have to be at least 100,000 people on this planet that feel the same way about it that I do at some point. Whether that's right now, maybe not, because let's be honest, the age demographic in pool is a little bit older. And so there's like I'm probably a part of a very small percentage of the population in pool that was raised on live streams and like independent content creators. You know what I mean? But at some point, there's going to be a bunch of people that would like something similar. So if I do a good enough job at it, then it's definitely a possibility. But I honestly do it. The reason I show up on Tuesdays and Fridays every week, that's when we go live, by the way, for the amateur stuff. Tuesdays is a ring game. Fridays is local heads up matches. Uh, the reason I show up is because it's super fun and the locals really look forward to it. Like the players, you know what I mean? Like now the ring game on Tuesdays, I have people hitting me up. Hey, which group is playing this week? Can I get in? You know, and then I have people reaching out to me, you know, up to 3 weeks and a month in advance saying they want to play on Friday night fights. And it's like, I think that's really cool that dude, the action in this room, at least for players under 550 Fargo, has gone through the roof because now people can see if I get in a fair matchup, I'm not just donating hundreds of dollars, right? And now that we've seen plenty of people play on the stream, people know who they can match up against fairly. And so it's been a really positive thing and fun thing for me to be a part of. So I don't know if other people enjoy it too. That's great, you know. Yeah.
Okay, I think you answered my question mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think it can be bigger. Like I said, there's billions of people on this planet. So, my goal is to make it as entertaining and engaging as possible. So, if there are other people out there like me, then they have a show to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can just get 1% of that 8 billion people.
Oh, it'd be silly.
It's yeah. So
I already know the numbers that I would need to do it full time. I'm not anywhere near those numbers, but it's like, you know, it just move towards that. And if it happens, then great, you know.
Let's go, viewers. Get on board. We need Collins not doing sighting. Help us one single bit.
Yeah.
So you just strictly use YouTube, or do you have a software you use, or?
Oh yeah. So I am a Streamlabs guy. So Streamlabs, they call it Streamlabs OBS, but it's just the actual software is called Streamlabs. They just threw the OBS on there because it's online broadcasting system, yes. And it also rides on the coattails of the most popular streaming service or software. I mean, that is called OBS, which is online broadcasting software, or system, I think it's called. But it's kind of a funny story. Morally and ethically, I'm not really a fan of Streamlabs OBS, if I'm being frank, because what they did was they saw OBS, they saw how popular it was, and then they essentially, without copying and pasting the coding, they wrote their own code to create the same product, and then created a few more integrations with like different widgets and things that you can put on the screen and stuff. And then they also, in the software itself, you can broadcast out to multiple locations instead of having to use a restream service, right? And so they just made a lot of those things a little bit more consolidated within their software, and then they charge a monthly fee if you want to use the premium version of the software, which I do because it's super convenient. So in my opinion, the convenience just happens to override the ethical issues for me, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it because it's a good product.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. I can't be the green bubble. I can't do it. Yeah.
So how do you promote your stream?
I go live regularly. I just try to go live at consistent times. That's the only reason why I don't do additional random streams, is because I'd rather have people know that they can tune in on Tuesday and Friday as like a habitual thing, you know, instead of like, oh, they just have to kind of hope they catch me when I'm live. And so if I do more, like if someone says, oh, I got this big set or medium-sized set, but I can't do it on a Friday, could you do it on a Thursday? I wouldn't so much be a fan of that unless I knew it was like extremely good content, right? But the consistency of going live is the most important thing, in my opinion, for making a channel grow. It's about consistency.
So do you have the ability to go mobile if you wanted to?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. I actually, so in California Billiards in Fremont, California, out in the Bay Area. Chris Swart, the owner there, has had me come out there, I think, 3 times now. And I actually have a mobile version of this booth that's a little smaller that I can literally throw in the back of my 8-foot pickup truck and bring it on site and bolt it together. Like there's walls and a ceiling and a floor and everything, and bolt it all together. It's got a window in the front that I spray foam around the edges to make it soundproof, and yeah, we go to town.
Like a deer stand.
Like a what?
The deer stand.
So I don't know.
Term. He's probably not much of a hunter.
I'm not a hunter. I don't have time. My brother hunts.
He's got a truck though, Chris.
I know. That's the start of being redneck. So what's been one of your funniest moments in the stream?
The Collins Tater curse.
What's that? Explain for those who don't know what the commentator's curse is.
No, it's not the commentator's curse. It's the Collins Tater's curse.
Okay.
So I don't believe in the commentator's curse. I think it's ridiculous. Everyone knows that, like, oh, because you said it, it's not gonna. Now the guy's gonna mess up, And I got you. I was firmly in the position that it does not exist, and still am. But there's something goofy about this booth, and I normally don't say things that are like very complimentary to a player. Not in like that I don't compliment the players, but like I don't say things like, "Oh yeah, he's out from here" or whatever. I feel like those are just wasted words, generally speaking, But I became a believer when Oscar played his first set against John Mora after the second Brendan Crockett, and he is running out, and he's been practicing a ton, and you guys know how good Oscar plays, right? And so he's been playing. Yeah. He's been playing a ton lately, and I've been super impressed with how he's been breaking, and his game's looking really good. And I've been watching him practice like in the room and stuff leading up to the match in the weekend. And he's jumping like you wouldn't believe, and super accurate. And he's got that at the time, it was the new air rush, and he was jumping so well with it. And I just couldn't help myself at the end of the first rack, or the first rack he breaks. It's on a super tight table on table 1. And he breaks the rack at 10 ball, perfect break, kind of a tough run out. But after you see him hit the first 3 balls, you're like, oh God, when's this guy going to miss, And he's running out, just picture perfect the whole out. And around the 7 or 8 ball, I started explaining what I just explained about how good he's been playing lately and stuff. And I said something right before the 10 ball that to the effect of like, man, John's going to be in trouble. It's pretty obvious. And he's straight in on the 10, like not far from the ball, not far from the pocket, and he bricks it. Ooh. And I was like, it was super spooky. And ever since that moment, just ask the people in my chat, I don't open my mouth like that about the situation in the game or like the player's sure to get out or whatever. I rarely do. But the percentages are ridiculous. When I do, they miss. It's crazy. I don't know what's happening, and I really don't believe in the commentator's curse, but there's something about this booth in this room when the people who are regulars in the booth open their mouth. We all know. We don't say anything because it's spooky in this room. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
That is pretty funny. Okay, I got a question about Oscar Dominguez. How much closer have you gotten to Oscar and his family since going into this?
Yeah, that's a kind of cool story, actually. Pretty close. So I had been playing here after he bought the place. I think he's owned it for like 4 or 5 years now, 4 years. So I had been playing here for 2 years and we didn't really know each other. And even when I started streaming too, they didn't know me. So they're kind of just going out on a limb, like, let's see how it goes. You know what I mean? And I don't know, just there's this trust that we have between us now. That's like, he really trusts me in the room. He really trusts me to just kind of have full creative freedom with the stream. Obviously the stream is a completely separate entity from Hard Times. But then also, like, I've done work on his house too, like he actually had this horrible dry rot issue in a house that he just bought up in Placerville. And it was honestly, in my opinion, it's some of the most like the worst case of contractor negligence I've ever seen, because it was obvious that previous contractors had done some work in this area and just overlooked dry rot and buttoned it up, and like purposefully did things to try to cover it up. It was very obvious as I was pulling it apart and stuff. And it was a bit of a process to fix everything, but I mean, it's all in good standing now, and just that whole process has been great. It's been really nice to, yeah, help them out with stuff. And then they help me out with the stream, and they know that if they ever have any action that they need covered or whatever, that I'm there. Like, they don't have to pay me any jelly or anything like that. I mean, occasionally they do, and I'm super grateful for whatever they do, but like, I don't know, I think we're very much on the same page about what is good for the game, in our opinions. I think it's a really good relationship, and I'm super lucky to be in the position that I'm in with Oscar, like owning this room, and the fact that he has the connections that he does too. It's like, you never know what thing could possibly happen, next year. He's the reason that I'm streaming the BEF, or I did the last 2 years. The first year was just because he was going to be the tournament director for the BEF Junior National Championships, and they needed a streamer, and the streamer that they were going to work with, I guess, wasn't responding to emails or something like that. I don't really know, but ended up streaming the event that year. And then because of that relationship that we built last year, or that year, we ended up trying it again this year, and it was a really good event. And yeah, I don't know. I'm super lucky, I think. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. It's actually pretty rare when one of the best players in the game steps up and starts giving to the game and hosting events and owns a pool room, which is a huge risk, huge. And he puts his ass on the line all the time. He really does.
He executes. This pool room, I don't know if you've been watching, when now I have a camera out front for the 28 tables that we have out front, or they have out front. This community here, dude, every night of the week, it's packed, at least for a couple hours. And there's 32 9-foot tables in here. And then on Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Thursday, it's packed from like 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. It's he does a hell of a job putting together a business.
Is his dad still hanging around?
Oh, Ernesto never stops working. That guy will die with a staple gun in his hand and cloth in his left hand. You know what I mean? That guy he's an animal. So he travels all over the place doing table mechanic work, nonstop every day. Like literally 6-7 days a week. I don't know how he does it. So no, he's not here a ton of the time, but he does stop by fairly regularly.
So we haven't been doing this long enough really to have any negativity come up. But how do you handle negativity when it arises?
Okay. I think it depends on the type of negativity. It's very 99% of the time, it's very obvious to me if someone's being sarcastic and jawing and like having a good time and like trying to poke fun and have a laugh,
Right.
But then there's sometimes when it's not obvious to me. And the second that it's not obvious to me, I usually call it out and like say, hey, what's going on over there? Like to try to get some clarification. And I always give people the benefit of the doubt that like, oh, if you're being an asshole, I'm assuming you're joking. Right. But if they, in whatever way, like double down or don't necessarily correct my misunderstanding, it's really a zero tolerance thing for me in the chat specifically. If you're in my chat and you're saying something derogatory about the players, or like, and I'm not talking about, again, sarcasm and like, especially if they're locals and they're saying things about one of the players, we all know that we're joking, But if you're saying something and you're obviously not a local player or a local guy, and you're just there to like talk about how bad they're playing, you know what I mean? It's like, Like, obviously, they're not going to play outstanding. They're not on the pro tour, right? So what are you here for? And it's really a zero tolerance thing for that, being abusive to other people in my chat, or saying, whether it's true or not, I don't care. Don't come to my channel to talk about someone else in the industry that can't defend themselves. You know what I mean?
Don't hold
Like,
court. Don't hold court on your stream.
yeah, exactly. It's like, what? Go talk on their Facebook page about it. You know what I mean? Like, if you have such powerful feelings about it, go to their Facebook page and talk about it. But yeah, it's really zero tolerance for me with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've had people in my chat that said things about someone in the industry that I feel like could possibly be true, and I'll jump down their throat the same way because I don't know, and my chat doesn't know the truth, and this isn't the place to talk about it.
And plus, you have the means to block them. So
yeah, and I rarely have blocked people. Honestly, 90% of my bans are who I think is the same person, just creating different accounts. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
You got a hater or a
Yeah.
What if his name's Ron Percival?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
his latest.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. His latest version that I actually had to make a one-off video about was Tiny Home Living magazine. And if you're watching and you're getting a kick out of the fact that I'm talking about you right now, good on you. But he was going to multiple other chats and other live streams and claiming that I was somehow fraudulently involved with a raffle that took place here at Hard Times or something. And he was saying it was my raffle, and it was all completely inaccurate stuff because I don't hold raffles. I'm not interested in doing that part of the business. I know that plenty of channels do that in order to kind of like stimulate some type of donation flow or whatever, and that's fine.
to not be broke.
Yeah, I don't judge other people for doing that. Like, I completely understand it. I've just chosen not to. So when someone comes into multiple other chats and like says that I've been holding raffles and not giving out the prizes or winning the prizes myself, it's like what are we doing here? Like, that's not me. I couldn't even be close to that just by the way I've set up the stream. But
every celebrity has haters.
Sure. Yeah. Celebrity. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna have to sip.
So what's your are you where you want to be with your streaming, or you see it growing in the future?
Let me put it this way. If I had $80,000 tomorrow to offset, 8 months to a year of personal living and stream expenses, so that I didn't have to work, I know what I'd be doing 5-6 days a week with this stream. And it wouldn't just be the stream; it'd be like on-demand content too, like single videos. I'd probably create a second channel for that style of thing, so that post up would be about amateur action and tournament coverage or whatever, and then I'd create another channel that's about there's a bunch of different formats that I am interested in trying, but yeah, let me just put it this way. If it ever does get to the tipping point where I could take a shot at doing this full time for even a month or two, yeah, there would be tons more content.
So we need a GoFundMe account, huh?
Yeah, no,
don't
do that.
To be there. I want you to be live every day.
I think that would be really fun. I think it'd be really good for the game. I think it'd be good for amateurs. It could, if I did get to that point and there was some regular YouTube ad revenue too, I'd be using it to like fly people in and do podcasts. Yeah, but there's just not enough eyes on the game, especially on amateur pool at this point, for that to be feasible. But I think it's possible in the next 5 to 10 years. Who knows? We'll see.
So yeah. Could you come in there and during the day, and just do a podcast during the daytime, and then that's a lot of time there though.
Well,
away from your family.
But I do spend a lot of time here, and if I was not working, I could spend an extra 3 to 4 hours every day here just working on content, and so yeah, I think it's certainly Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that could be done. I mean, and I'm not talking like instructional videos, dude. There are just unlimited instructional pool videos online. I don't think we need more of those on YouTube. I'm talking about like trying to do entertaining stuff. Like if you've heard of a channel on YouTube called Pongfinity, there's a channel on YouTube about ping pong that doesn't cover professional action, that doesn't cover tournaments, that has 3 million subscribers, and it's just about ping pong. And it's not necessarily showing like, oh, how you hit this shot or what you do in this situation. It's none of that. It's just entertaining stuff to watch that's centered around ping pong. And there's 3 million people subscribed to that channel. They probably make $800,000 a year on that channel. Wow. It's like, yeah, like there's got to be a way for us to do that in pool. But
and no you're the guy.
I don't know. I would like to try, but I don't know. I would like to try to get there. I don't know if I have the formula, but I think I could. I think in a year of full devotion to it, I could get close. I think not close to 3 million subscribers, but like close to a formula that could work. I don't know.
Pool players have backers. Why can't streamers?
Yeah, right.
Hey.
Yeah.
So if there was one person that you could have in your booth with you to interview, who would it be?
As like a podcast style?
Well, just as a player, as a pool player.
But like
either one, live stream or
podcast. It's two different things. It's two different things. So if it's during a live stream and there's action to watch, Alex Pagulayan, no question about it. Ooh, I think it would be super fun.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would be super fun, and then you could like be, interested and engaged in what happens, and if an interesting situation comes up, you can pick his brain, and then he's fun, so he'll like talk a little shit too, and it's like, yeah, so that one would be awesome. If it's a podcast, to just sit there and get to know the person. The problem is, and it's not because he has the biggest podcast in the world, it's just because I'm interested in the guy, and I would like to run the show with him around. Joe Rogan would be super interesting to talk to.
Definitely.
Oh, just let me be there. Let's do that.
Yeah, sure. But if it had to be a player, if it had to be like a professional player, podcast style, I would probably go with Skylar Woodward.
He is, yeah. His personality. I mean, his personality is engaging. So,
yeah, and he's an interesting case though, because like up until, from what I've heard anyway, up until recently, in the last like couple years, he's really just gone off of like almost pure talent, and he's been able to hang with the best players in the world. And like, I'm just really interested to see, how he deals with that, or like how he, like how his life is built. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we only live about 6 hours from him. It's just catching him. It's just catching him home because I want to interview him in person.
Right.
In-depth interview. Everyone's got these like little snippets, but yeah, just get to know Skylar.
Yeah.
He's probably the most loved pool player in America.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the other thing. When I do podcasts, I don't really. Now, the ones that I have done, a number of them have been very centered around pool and like the guy's history playing the game, but I'm not really a fan of that style of podcast or like interview, like I won't say any specific names of organizations that have done podcasts, but they're very like formulaic. I'm not formulaic at all. I kind of treat it like this, where like I just kind of, we just riff and see where it goes, and yeah, Sky, it would be interesting to see what makes him tick. And I don't think it's only pool. And it's not like Shane Van Boning where it's like pool and fishing, you know what I mean? I feel like Sky probably has way more going on in that head of his than just pool, and I want to know. Yeah.
So do you watch a lot of movies?
That's a difficult question to answer.
Well, the reason I'm asking,
I guess I have to know why you're asking.
Okay.
Chris Collins, give me like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, Sean.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So you've seen The Color of Money, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we've been asking the players this and the legends, if they were to remake The Color of Money,
yeah,
who would play the part of Fast Eddie, and who would play the part of Vincent or Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Has to be a pool player.
It would probably be Jeremy Jones and Skylar Woodward.
I could see.
I heard that. That's a winner.
We get Skylar a lot to play the Vincent part. We got Kim Davenport.
Okay.
Older player. And then I think we got one that said Mike Siegel. And Danny DiLiberto.
The problem with those picks as opposed to Jeremy Jones is Jeremy Jones has swagger and charisma.
Yeah.
And like those other guys are a little bit too, let's face it, they're a little bit too self-involved. I feel like in that setting, they would almost come across as like narcissistic. And I'm not trying to dig any of these guys.
I know.
They're great players. You know what I mean?
I know Mike Siegel, he's full of himself.
Yeah.
Kim Davenport, I haven't talked to a whole bunch.
I've only seen a few podcasts. Yeah.
But so you started this when? I mean, how long have you been doing this?
So it's going to be 2 years in October, actually. October 22nd is the anniversary stream. Yeah.
So
what 2 years in October.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into the business like you, the streaming business?
This is a good question, because every time I have a big stream, like cover a big tournament, or even if there's like a local matchup or something that for whatever reason gets like 5, 6, 7, 800 people watching or something. But definitely like the most recent World 9-Ball Tour ranking event that they had here, the Chuck Markoulis and then the Brendan Crockett. And I'm sure it'll happen again after the Amar Kang event. So it was going to be called the Diamond. By the way, if you're not already aware, the Diamond One Pocket 10,000 added tournament that was going to happen in October this year was postponed and moved to December between Christmas and New Year's. It's now going to be called the Amar Kang Memorial, presented by Diamond Billiards. And it's going to be a 9-ball tournament on Thursday, Friday, and then a 1-pocket tournament, massive 1-pocket tournament, Saturday and Sunday, probably starting Friday night. It's like $225 entry fee, 10,000 added. And I'm sure we'll get some pros coming out for that one. But every time I have an event that I cover that's that caliber, I have people reaching out to me and asking questions about, what kind of cameras do you use? Your sound equipment or whatever equipment related questions. Right. But that's the question I don't get very often is I kind of want to start streaming stuff. What would you recommend? Like, how would you recommend approaching it? And I think it really, really depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Because if you're covering, some heads up matches, maybe a couple times a month, or even just like local tournaments, and you're not really trying to expand beyond the point of just the locals watching, it's going to be a completely different answer than if you're trying to garner some type of audience that is broader than that. Because the local thing is going to be a lot less intense because the locals already know the story. They already know the players. They already know, so you can literally just slap the camera on the table and that's all you need. But if you want to create a bigger audience than that and try to entertain people that are not local, the gig is storytelling. The gig is create a vision for yourself about how you want to tell the story, and then just do whatever it takes to make your actual product match that vision. And it is time consuming. When I first started this, dude, like when I first finished the booth, I remember I finished the booth, I hung the drywall, I did the mud work. I hadn't even painted the walls yet. And I started putting together the computer and stuff. And the computer's put together and the camera's up and I have it centered and everything. And I have the streaming software downloaded. And then I was like, holy crap, I have no idea how I want this to look or how to make it look that way. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
can go back. My very first stream that I ever did, it's still on my channel. You can go look at it. It's like I had no clue what I was doing, right? But that's how everybody starts. You're never going to have somebody that's going to give you the right answer that's going to like really help kickstart things. You will early on run into some type of wall where it's like, well, wait a second, hold on. I don't know. I don't know what I want this to be or how to make it that way. And then you just have to sit in that for hours and work on it. And then you'll have an idea and you'll think, oh, okay, it would be cool if it looked like this, or it'd be cool if I had this graphic, or it'd be cool if my camera could occasionally do this, and then you just have to figure out how to make that happen. And it's a lot of time spent on YouTube and reading articles, like product reviews and stuff like that. And the more you can get used to that type of language and that type of like research or whatever, the easier it is. Like now I feel super confident. If I had a new vision for wanting to make something look a certain way, I can get there that much faster because I'm learning the language, I'm learning and it's very tough to teach the language. You have to spend, there's no magic bullet to learn the language. You just have to spend the hours working on it, whether it's working in Photoshop or whether it's, working with your streaming software, or even learning how to search the right thing on YouTube in order to achieve the knowledge that you're seeking. It's like super hard sometimes to like, okay, well, I want it to look this way. So how do I type that into YouTube so that they'll teach me how to make it look that way? That's difficult in itself. And so you just end up getting better at that the more you do it. And yeah, the first like 6 to 8 months of doing this, it like felt totally different than it does now. And I'm sure 2 to 3 years from now, looking back on today, I'm going to feel like I had no clue what I was doing. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, as you can see, Chris, you can see on our posts and the way these interviews go, Chris is getting better and better at the technical side of it. I don't ignore it, so to speak, but I want to become a great interviewer. Like I would love to get lessons from Joe Rogan on how to do what he does, but for just pool players. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's my focus. And then and the other thing is my goal is to learn. So I have this curious mind that never stops, and I love learning. If you get paid to learn, that's the job that I want to have.
Mm-hmm. You could be a, university professor learning. No, I'm just kidding. Like researching
But
something. No,
I'm never going to do anything but pool for the rest of my life. I
right,
decided
right,
that
right.
like 10 years ago. So it's got
Yeah,
to be about pool. And I could, if you could just pay me to learn all day long and to ask questions, like if I ask a person a question on an interview, they're super happy to answer it. If I just call them up, they may not give me a call
right.
back.
Yeah, yeah. It's that genuine curiosity, right? You just and then learning how. This is the other thing that I've gotten better at since I'm on the mic 10 hours a week, is like learning how to say the thing that I'm thinking and like clearly understand for myself what it is that I'm thinking, like that's a skill too that, you end up getting better at the more you do it. So, yeah.
Jeremy Porter is a huge fan of you. He talked about you.
Who?
Oh, Jerry McWhorter, a Q maker.
Oh, McWhorter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You had him in your booth for he said like 30 hours.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. That was during the one pocket that we did last year, I think. Or was it the Brendan Crockett? I can't remember. One of the two.
Well, the way you described your stream is pretty on point. He said they don't spend a lot of time like instructing players on the right shot and that there's a group of people in there having fun, and I don't know how to there's no one else is doing it like you are.
Sure. Yeah. I don't think there are many. I I don't think I've tuned into a stream where and this doesn't have to do with the fact that I'm creating the stream, but like, I don't think I've tuned into a stream where I felt quite at home the way that I do with my chat, you know? I mean, I do see a lot of them in other streams, and I do like seeing them. You know what I mean? But there's something to the vibe that we all really yeah, we like the energy. It's fun.
You guys are having fun.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And I'll have some of that. Cheers
Chris,
to that.
Well, I'm out of questions. We've got an interview with Robert LeBlanc here in a little bit. You
Cool.
know,
in 5 minutes.
yeah. So we've already interviewed him once, but he has some technical difficulties and with his phone, and his computer doesn't have a camera on it, so he's having to use his phone. And I don't think he was connected to Wi-Fi, so he kept T-paining on us, and and that guy's got so many stories. I mean, I've read his book and I can't find it, but just to let him tell the stories, man, it's awesome.
That's cool.
And then we lose him on the stream, and then he calls us and talks to us for another hour and a half. I was like,
Which we should have recorded.
which I couldn't get recorded. My phone's not going to record the audio.
Right.
So,
Collins, I want to say thank you so much. We're going to keep doing this. Right now, we're just going to keep every single day just interviewing who will allow us to and who we want to, and hopefully you're looking at some professionals in the next year.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the thing. Is it's like the more you do it and the more regular it is, you just and watch it back. Like, listen to yourself and like be happy to cringe through the moments where you're like what did I just say? Like, I can't even tell you. So many times watching back, I'd be in this really good feeling, like watching back one of my early streams or something, and then all of a sudden for the next 30 or 40 minutes I was like, dude, the vibe sucks. What can I do to change that? You know what I mean? And slowly you just end up getting better at it. And I'm not saying I never have a crappy vibe anymore. It still occasionally happens. And it's not necessarily because things are being said negatively, but you just lose energy, but just plugging away, you'll get better at it.
I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you've done for me and questions I've been able to ask you that have helped me out. And I just appreciate what you do for pool. I can't wait for you to be full time, get rid of sighting and only streaming, just streaming.
Fingers crossed.
Go.
Well, guys, if you like watching pool, you can watch Post Up on Tuesdays and Friday evenings. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up and leave a message and let us know how we're doing. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pool and Around Show.
Cool. Thanks
for joining us.